Okay, today what we want to discuss is preparing our files for 3D printing and some pre-flight checks that we want to do before we output our STL file. Here we have the OBJ file that we brought in from Maya via Mudbox that's closed, and we want to do some checks. Before we get into our checks, though, the first thing that we want to do is to select our object like so, and we want to hit CTRL G to group them together so that the eyeballs are grouped together with the head. Okay, that's the that's the first thing that we want to do. Is make sure that the eyeballs are grouped with the head. Now, what we want to do now is that we want to select our model and we want to type in the command check. And this checks our models to see if there's any problems. And this is usually a really good diagnostic that you can do to check to see if your model is okay. And as we look at the model, this is a good mesh. That's all good signs. That means that everything's pretty good. And actually, there are three meshes, two right there, and this is a third. Some things to look at here. We do have some pairs of faces that intersect each other. Not a big problem. Not a big problem. Could be, but not a big problem in this case. But generally, this is a good mesh. Mudbox produces meshes that are fairly good. If the only problem you may have is that you may have some intersecting edges in them. Okay, so we know that we have a good mesh. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is that we want to come in here and let's run a analyze edge tools show edges, and this is another analysis that we can do. And we want to make sure that naked edges are checked. Okay, and one of the things that we see here is that there are over 1 million edges, but there are no naked edges and no non-manifold edges. Non-manifold edge is an edge that's not closed on all sides to the mesh. But this is a good mesh. If there were any naked edges, there would be pink. Like if we were to come over here and we were to select all edges, you notice how our whole model goes pink because it's selecting all the edges in our model. And now we want to just turn off naked edges. Some common problems that you may have with a mesh as it relates to 3D printing. If you look at your mesh, and in Rhino, if you right mouse click, it sort of dollies. And for some reason, some of your faces are either see-through or or they may appear black. That may indicate a normals issue. And then you would come in here to mesh repair tools, and you'd want to what you'd want to do is that you'd want to unify your normals, mesh repair tools, unify normals, and that would generally bring your normals together. Okay, so the mesh is pretty good. Now what we want to do is that we want to scale our object properly. And to do that, let's first go into click on this little gear here, which brings up our options palette. And we want to go into our units. And you can use either millimeters, but I'm going to go to inches. And I'm going to click on OK. So now my grid is in inches. I'm not going to change this. I'm going to leave this at no. I could have done that. And it would scale it down significantly, but I'm going to leave it like this because I want to show you how to do a scaler. Okay, so now let's double click, and we want to come over here to our front window, and we want to get our scale tool, which is located here, Scale 3D. And I'm going to turn on Ortho Snap, like so, and I'm going to select this object. press enter, and I'm going to select the point that I want to scale from, and here I'm going to select my second pivot point, and now I'm going to scale this down like so. Okay, and I've scaled that down significantly. Now the next thing that I want to do, since my object is all the way over here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it up here like so. And I can use this tool right here to zoom it in like so. And I'm going to move this up, put it on the 0 line over here, and I'm going to move it over and center it like so. With the ortho snap on, I can only move in 90-degree increments, and I kind of like that. Okay, so right now my model is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches, almost 8 inches tall. That's just twice as big as I'd like for it to be. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get my Scale 3D again, and I'm going to scale this down to about 4 inches. We were working with about 4 inches as a good size for this 3D printed model. Okay, and so there we go. And now it's scaled to 4 inches tall, and I'm going to center that again. Okay, and now our model is scaled properly. At this point, it's a little bit taller than 4 inches, so if I wanted to, I could get my scaler again, and I'm going to show you that I could go this way, and I'm going to bring this right down to, so it's just under 4 inches, and that's good. At this point, I'm ready to export my file as an STL file, and that's fairly straightforward because this is nice and clean. The model is 4 inches, it's been scaled properly, and now I want to select the model, left to right, right to left. It selects everything it touches. I'm going to do a file, export selected, and I'm going to choose from my selections here, I'm going to choose STL, stereolithography. Okay, and from there, what I want to do, I'm going to go here to D, to the folder that I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to call this Mudhead 01, and I'm going to save this as a STL file. And what it's going to do here, it shows me the binary size of the file, and ASCII, you'll almost always use the binary size of the file. When we get into Rhino modeling and converting NURBS to STL, that's a discussion for another day. But here I just want to do this to show you how you do this. You click on OK, and there you have your STL file, and it's going to be approximately 51 megabytes, as we saw. So at this point, you have scaled your model, imported your model in from Maya, your closed model. You've run your check on it, you run your naked edges check on it, and you have output the model for printing, for 3D printing, as an STL file, and that's the basic workflow. Good luck.